Hey, Dethroners! Welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. I'm Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, empowerment coach, and CEO of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic coaching and consulting company. And today we are diving into a topic that is at the very core of why you might be feeling stuck, overwhelmed, even frustrated with certain parts of your life. So, have you ever wondered where your emotions really come from, or why certain feelings seem to hold you back no matter what you do? Well, it's all connected to hidden beliefs that are actually out of alignment with your true self, but they're hidden, so you don't even know that they're there. And these are the beliefs that are causing your suffering. And today I'm going to help you uncover them, understand them, and most importantly, change them. So this is a really important episode because what you're about to discover could completely transform how you experience your life. So I find it remarkable how often the answers to our problems are right in front of us, and yet we can't seem to grasp them. It's like, imagine the answers are inside of this room, okay? But the entrance to the room is surrounded by what we think are scary ghosts and scary goblins, right? These fear-induced illusions that make us not just hesitate, but say, I'm not going into that room, right? I'm too afraid to go in. But the truth is, those fears are just illusions that we created a long time ago, okay? Those fears can't actually hurt us. You know, that fear of, what if I really can't make my dream a reality? What if something happens in my relationship or to my business or with my health? So these hidden beliefs are the barriers that we've created around the very things that actually have the power to transform our lives, okay? So we've all had parts of our past that we could say are difficult. It could have been a traumatic event. It could have been a dramatic event, right? It could be feelings of inadequacy. So now, whatever area of your life that you're feeling these emotions, again, it could be your health, your job, your relationship, your business, just not feeling good about yourself. These emotions are tucked away in a corner where we refuse to really get underneath, okay? So it's not like we don't feel the frustration, we don't feel the frustration, we don't feel the sadness, we don't feel the the worry, okay? But it is that we don't give ourselves the room and the space to really go underneath those emotions and to start asking some very important questions, okay? So these are emotions that grow and fester because we're not actually using those emotions as the powerful catalyst for growth and change that they really are for us, okay? And so the more that we avoid these emotions, the more that they get even scarier and more unapproachable. Okay, so I talk to a lot of people that just like to stay busy and they like to stay distracted and they like to stay numb. Okay, and that's the opposite of what we need to be doing if we really want our lives to start changing course. And if we really want to start living a life that's in alignment with our dreams, okay? So what's truly needed is the opposite of avoidance, okay? We actually need to be willing to shine a light on these hidden fears and on these hidden doubts, okay? Now, I hear this all the time. People say, well, I don't want to look at those things. I don't want to uncover those things. It's just going to make me feel bad. I might even start crying. If I start crying, I'm never going to stop crying. Or if I face it, I'll just kind of curl up in a ball and I'll never be able to get back up. But that's just not true. Nobody cries forever. Nobody stays down forever just because they confront something painful. It is the fear of what might happen that keeps us from exploring these places in our minds where we need to go, but we've avoided going for forever. And it's actually the very thing that's keeping you stuck, okay? It is your fear that you're not willing to really look at and get underneath and get to the bottom of that keeps showing up, okay? So now, why would we look at the things that scare us? Why would we look at the things that make us feel bad? And the answer is because once we do, it doesn't scare us anymore. It doesn't hold power over us anymore, okay? But we've got this reflective shame and fear, okay? We've got this automatic thinking that wants us to avoid feeling uncomfortable emotions, right? And that's what has us say, well, I'll look anywhere, but I won't look there, okay? So, like I said, that's where you're going to find all the answers as to why you keep sabotaging yourself, why you haven't taken action, why you keep reverting back to the same old patterns, okay? And this is where your freedom lies, because you need to be willing to look at what you've been dragging behind you for your whole life up until now. If you don't take the time to examine and understand the weight that you are still carrying from your past, you'll continue to feel stuck. You'll continue to be unable to move forward in the way that you desire. And even if you are moving forward, you're going to keep getting stuck in the same patterns, right? Where you keep finding yourself frustrated, wondering why you're not progressing, why your life isn't going in the direction that you want it to. And then you start to question maybe your own worth. Like, what's wrong with me, right? Why can't I do this? Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And that's the automatic thinking that becomes the vicious cycle. That thinking fosters more of that thinking. And so when we get caught in that vicious cycle, now we start reinforcing the very beliefs that keep us trapped, okay? It's as though there's a filter that gets created in our actual brain, right? So our mind keeps automatically searching for evidence to reinforce the beliefs that we're just not good enough. Now, especially when you are making changes in your life, when you are at a crossroads in your life, when you are embarking on a brand new chapter, maybe your kids are grown, maybe you're starting to figure out what's next for me. And this is where examining the weight that you've been dragging around, your fear, your trauma, your unresolved emotions that you keep trying to protect yourself from, okay? If you're not facing those things, what you're really doing is allowing your survival mechanisms to just keep governing your life. Now, survival mechanisms, that's what has created our automatic inner critic mind in the first place, right? So we created these protections in our life, trying to protect us from what we perceived a long time ago as danger, right? So a little child might believe it's way too scary to let people down. It's way too scary to feel judged and criticized. It's way too scary to feel like I failed. It's way too scary to have somebody feel or think about me like I just don't have what it takes. And that's the very reason why so many people don't take actions in the direction of their dreams. So if we keep not just staying stuck in the thoughts, but avoiding confronting those thoughts, questioning those thoughts, starting to poke holes in the evidence that we've gathered for sometimes many, many decades, okay? Well, essentially what we're doing is we're letting our inner critic self rule our lives. She wins, okay? And that's how we stay fixed and rooted in place and we never move forward. It doesn't have to be this way, and yet so many people give up on their dreams. And your current experience of your life is actually not determined by your past. It's not determined by other people. It's only shaped by your automatic thoughts within you. So these thoughts that you're having, they're really not triggered by anything external. I know it seems like they're triggered by something external. So somebody says something, somebody does something, maybe some just fear, right? Made up fear in your own mind, okay? But those automatic thoughts are entirely generated by your mind. And so moment by moment by moment, your personal reality is being created by the power of your thoughts without you even realizing it. So your insecurity, your doubt, your frustration, your lack of fulfillment isn't really a reflection of reality. It's an illusion created by your automatic mind. And when you are so versed in listening to that automatic mind, mistaking it for your true self, you don't even have access to your true authentic self. See, your true authentic self is actually separate from your automatic thoughts. Your authentic self is separate from the self that you've created for your whole life. And recognizing the difference, recognizing the truth of who you really are, that's the first step towards waking up from the illusion. That's the first step towards reclaiming your power to create the life that you truly want. And I have seen this over and over and over. When you really understand the difference of the mind that is connected to your automatic self and the mind that you can intentionally cultivate that's connected to your true authentic self, you literally have the power to change everything in your life, okay? So it's looking at your beliefs and questioning them, challenging them, rewiring our thoughts and beliefs in almost every aspect of our life. Because what shows up in one area really shows up in every area, okay? Whatever your fears and doubts are about your business, if we're going to connect the dots, it's the same fears that you're having about how your kids' lives are going to unfold, or it's the same feelings that are showing up in your relationship with your significant other, okay? So it's not even about battling this inner critic self. It's actually about understanding her. And at the same time you're understanding her, nurturing the aspects of your true authentic self, right? Think about it like a garden. So if you have ever gardened, you know that flowers need way more attention than weeds. You really don't need to pay any attention to weeds. You just need to kind of keep pulling them, okay? Your garden will always have weeds, right? So if you think about how that shows up in our life, we have core wounds that are an inherent part of our human experience. those core wounds are never going anywhere. And the more that you keep taking steps outside of your comfort zone, the more that those core wounds are going to get pushed on. I think of it like a button, okay? So the work that I do is not even about necessarily healing core wounds. The core wounds heal when we first recognize them and we understand them. We understand exactly what's being triggered within us, right? And that's how we start to slowly dismantle the protective barriers that we've built around these core wounds. Okay. Now, these barriers go unnoticed because they're deeply embedded in our unconscious mind. Okay. So, really, they govern about 95% of our life. They influence our behavior, they influence our choices, they influence our feelings getting hurt in ways that we probably don't even realize. So, if we aren't curious about our unconscious automatic mind, the barriers are going to be invisible. And without awareness, those barriers are going to continue to sabotage you, where you judge yourself, you think there's something wrong with you feel like it maybe in some ways that you're broken, and you don't even know that that's all going on. So self-awareness can lead to self-compassion. And self-awareness and compassion are truly the keys to unlocking everything that you desire in life. Now, self-compassion occurs when we recognize that our automatic thoughts are really just part of our human machinery, right? I said this the other day. It's like we're all dishwashers, right? You might be, a GE and I might be a Whirlpool, but we're both dishwashers, right? That's our human machinery. So when we start rewriting old stories, that's how we access a very different sense of who we are. But here's the challenge, okay? Those voices that are connected with our authentic self, they need an ally, right? Again, going back to that garden analogy, right? You need to tend to the flowers because the other voices, the weeds, always have the upper hand. Now, why is that? Why are we so automatically conditioned to these voices of doubt, of fear, of inadequacy, of not feeling good enough, of feeling like a fraud? Well, it's our human evolution, okay? We actually have a natural bias towards the negative as a survival mechanism, okay? So we only pay attention to things that we perceive as danger. Now, this is why when we're engaged in life and we're really stepping outside of our comfort zone, we're creating something new, we're meeting new people, we're putting ourselves out there, we're being self-expressed in a way that makes us very uncomfortable. Those automatic voices of your inner critic, they are going to become louder and they feed on themselves. And that's how it's very easy to lose sight of the different voice that lives deep within us. Okay. So this requires intentional effort. It requires daily vigilance in supporting the voice of your authentic self, while also at the same time being deeply curious about the origins of your inner critic thoughts. So a lot of people just want to focus on the positive. Let me just keep focusing on my gratitude and all of the things that are going well in my life. And that's beautiful. But sometimes people use gratitude, they use their positive voice as a way of avoiding the deeper pain. And that doesn't work. You can't gratitude your life away, right? You can't gratitude your life to the next level. There's tremendous power in your willingness to really sit down on a daily basis and do the work of recognizing how your core wounds keep impacting your experience of yourself, your experience of your life, your experience of other people, your experience of your relationships, and most importantly, your experience of what you believe is possible for you moving forward. That's the only way to dismantle them. It's a dual focus, right? Nurturing the positive, but really understanding your automatic unconscious mind. That is really the only way to cultivate a balanced, fulfilling, and authentic life. Okay. And I know that a lot of people talk about focusing on the basics. And I don't disagree. I think that's really important, right? I think focusing on sleep and focusing on exercise and focusing on nutrition and focusing on meditation and all of these things absolutely support a more positive life. But again, that is not going to get you to where you want to go unless you're willing to really understand the negative. And that's the issue with a lot of people who continue to stay stuck, right? You do all the things. You're so versed in growth. You're so versed in taking care of your body. You're so versed in taking care of the positive parts of your mind, of keeping the gratitude journal and looking at all the things that you love about your life. But I want to tell you that's half the game, right? Real self-care goes beyond getting good sleep, eating well, exercising. True self-care begins with becoming aware of our automatic, reflexive worrying, self-doubt, and insecurity. Because these are patterns that started so early on in your life. And that's what forms the habit, the automatic habit of trying to control aspects of our life where we don't have any control. Okay. So really getting your life to go in a different direction is first about learning how to let go of that automatic need to control other people's thoughts, to control other people's opinions, to control how your life is going to unfold, to control how other people see you, right? That allows us to take bold actions, like leaving a relationship that no longer serves us, or stepping away from a career that's been draining you for a while, or really getting a handle on maintaining your body and your health, or writing that book, or starting that business. In those moments, we have to tap into courage. And what courage really is about is taking steps while your automatic self is screaming at you all of the things that she's been screaming at you all along. And notice, the more that you keep trying to get rid of those thoughts, fix those thoughts, change those thoughts, shut those thoughts up, what happens? They don't go anywhere, right? And then you feel more and more frustrated. And then you try to silence that and get rid of that negative mind. And this is how we stay stuck. So unshackling yourself from the only identity that you've ever known, that is a completely different feeling state. Okay? Again, it's not just rooted in gratitude for what we have, but it's really taking the step to commit deeply to your ongoing growth and transformation. So gratitude is really only the beginning. Okay? If we are not growing out of our automatic self, we're stagnant. And if we're stagnant, it kind of means that we're slowly dying inside, right? So growth always requires us to continually take actions that bring up our core wounds, that bring up our old beliefs, that push us way beyond our comfort zone. And that's very uncomfortable. But that's the only way that we really align ourselves with our true, authentic self, right? Embracing the discomfort of change, welcoming the discomfort that comes with transformation, allowing ourselves to evolve into the person that we're truly meant to be, because we're willing to be uncomfortable on purpose over and over and over and over, instead of trying to figure out how to avoid the discomfort. And here's the thing. I know this sounds cliche for me to say, but the universe truly does have our back. The universe wants us to grow, okay? Just like in nature, right? Nature's always growing. The universe wants us to grow. So when we allow ourselves to develop a deep trust in the universe, now we open the door for everything that we desire to come to us in the perfect timing. Not necessarily the timing that we might prefer, but the timing that's aligned with our highest good. Now, that urge to control and the impatience that we feel, that comes right from that automatic fear that we will never get what we want. So we want it right now. We want to see it, taste it, touch it, smell it right now. Okay? So developing the muscle of trust and surrender is key, because it allows us to release the fear and to stay connected to our highest self, that our essential nature. That's our true, authentic self. Not the automatic self that keeps us stuck in the patterns of worrying and wondering and how's this going to go and how's this going to be. That's all suffering. So by staying in the trust and continuing to take those actions that are aligned with our vision, that are aligned with our true essence, we pave the way for a life that's about thriving and not surviving. Our automatic self is 100% about surviving, making sure that you don't feel pain, right? So when we begin to shift, now we approach the world through the lens of active gratitude. Not about just saying, I'm grateful, okay? But really cultivating an appreciation for the whole journey, right? The journey that we've already been on, the journey that is unfolding before us, right? Not just being grateful for the good parts, being grateful for all of it, understanding that every single part of your journey has led you here. And even the parts that have been painful have all been in the service of your highest good, to show you something about you. And all the effort we've put into becoming who we are today, means recognizing our own resilience and being kind to ourselves for our mistakes, for the times when things don't go as planned, no longer giving ourselves permission to beat up on ourselves for what we perceive as failures. And instead, we start tuning into intentional thoughts like, how can I grow from this? How can I use this pain to become the best version of myself? Cultivating a sense of humility combined with active gratitude is exactly what allows us to start unshackling ourselves from not just our past, but the identity that was created by our past, right? That's when we can really start acknowledging, okay, I'm here right now. And all I can do is my best right now. And that's all I need, because that's enough. And as long as we keep taking those actions from where we are now, and we keep going and we keep going, and we say, okay, whatever happens, I'm just never going to stop. I'm going to learn from the mistakes. I'm going to learn from the failures. I'm going to learn from the judgment. And I'm willing to take on the discomfort in the service of my highest self and my highest life, right? That's how our circumstances no longer define who we are or limit where we can go. And that is huge. When our circumstances no longer define us and we really tune into that we are actually limitless in where we can go in this life, ooh, that is how we change in profound ways. And it is not an uncommon experience, right? It is a shift that can happen for anyone who's willing to look inward with curiosity and courage. I've seen it hundreds of times in the Mastering Your Mind program. We were not born with a harsh inner critic, right? Think about a baby learning to walk. They fall over and over and over, but they keep getting up and they're like, nope, I'm just going to take the next step, right? Imagine if we as adults adopted that same tenacity that a baby has, but we don't, right? Just after a few falls, we're like, there's that inner critic voice that says like, why bother? It's just not going to work out. I'm just not good enough for this, right? The universe does not have my back. Because we have our own expectations and our own timeline and our own ideal pictures for who we're supposed to be and how life is supposed to go. And it's all an illusion. So why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Because on some level, it seems incredibly maladaptive, right? But so many of us are trapped in this cycle until we finally wake up and we decide to change it, right? So the question, how did I get caught in this vicious cycle? That's a question that's worth exploring. How did I get trapped in this vicious cycle? What is the fear that's really keeping me from taking actions that are going to change my life? Why do I keep sabotaging myself? What am I getting out of continuing to sabotage myself or continuing to keep myself stuck? Now, we don't mean ourselves harm by doing this, okay? It's not like there's a part of our brain that's against us, or even that we're fundamentally split inside, right? With one part wanting to give us the life that we want and the other part that's sabotaging us, okay? See, after being a psychotherapist for over 30 years, studying people, studying neuroscience, I can say with absolute confidence that the issue has nothing to do with an internal conflict, okay? It is that your survival mechanisms have hijacked you. Your inner critic self is rooted in your survival mechanisms, and your inner critic self has hijacked you, right? If you think about our ancestors, right, in a hunter-gatherer society, their survival depended on remembering the bad, the danger, more than the good, right? If you ate a berry that made you sick, they needed to remember that in order to stay alive. That's why we have this bias towards the negative. It served a vital purpose way back. Today, it just keeps showing up because we think we need it. We think we need to worry. We believe very unconsciously that worry keeps us safe. Not putting yourself out there keeps you safe, right? And that's exactly why we say we stay stuck in fear, in anxiety, in self-doubt, right? So this same survival mechanism impacts not just how we care about ourselves, but it also impacts how we see the people that we love, right? So let's, as parents, for those of you that are parents, okay? We talk a lot about, being a parent that talks to our children differently, and how can I better meet their needs, and what do they really need from me? But here's the problem. If we're not really understanding our own deeper core wounds, then we're not going to be able to show up the way that we really want to with our kids. Okay? So really understanding your inner life, really understanding how to nurture your authentic self so you can bring your best self to your parenting, to your relationship with your significant other, to relationships with your coworkers, business partners. When we acknowledge that we're human, we can use our irritability, our overwhelm, our stress to understand what's really beneath those experiences and underneath those emotions. Okay? Because listen, it's never the circumstances themselves that have you snap at your child because of something that they did, or snap at your husband, or snap at your wife. It is always because there's something deeper, some unresolved issue, some fear, some unmet need that's fueling your reaction. And we all have that automatic voice. So if you hear yourself saying, "Oh, you can't do that. You're not going to make that happen," it's all bullshit. You'll never have a fulfilling career. You'll never get that promotion. You'll never have financial freedom. That is your automatic voice. It's conditioned, right? It's your inner critic voice that fuels all that anxiety, fuels that fear, fuels that self-doubt, telling you you're not good enough, telling you you're not living up to your full potential, and you never will. These thoughts are not truths. They are remnants of old survival mechanisms and unexamined beliefs that are no longer serving you, but they're so automatic and so reflexive that when that inner critic self speaks to you, you believe it. You think she is you. If you're not willing to do the real work in recognizing these thoughts for what they are, and then choosing to nurture the part of us that knows already that we are whole, we are capable, we are worthy, and we are deserving of the life we truly want. If you don't know how to unhook yourself from your automatic thoughts and tune yourself into very different thoughts and beliefs that have you experiencing very different emotions and making different choices, you're not going to get to where you really want to go. See, our experience of our life is far more influenced by our ability to really understand our painful emotions. Okay? And it comes down to consistent daily practice. Those who live fulfilled lives don't just happen upon joy and happiness, okay? They cultivate it. They cultivate it through deeply understanding where the blocks and barriers and pain comes from, right? So for so many people, the idea of tuning inward, facing the scary, the negative, the intrusive thoughts, okay, especially those tied to traumatic events that we'd rather forget, it can feel like staring down a dark tunnel, right? So you may be wondering, like, what's really in it for me if I go there, right? Why would I want to dig up all that pain? What if I find out I don't like my life? Now, these are all valid fears, but they are still rooted in the same illusion, right? And you believe that avoiding the darkness will protect you from the pain. And the truth is, it's the polar opposite, right? When you open that door to true healing and transformation, now you're truly living. Now you're able to really be in the face of the unknown. You can leave that relationship that isn't serving you, even if you don't have another one. You can leave that career, even if you don't exactly know how the next career is going to unfold, right? You can actually no longer keep yourself trapped in the shadows of your past. And that's when you start stepping into the light of your true potential. And this is the work that changes everything. There's a woman in my Mastering Your Mind program. By all external measures, she's incredibly successful. She built a thriving company with her husband. She's got a loving and supportive family. She appears to have it all. And beneath the surface, she was struggling with underlying anxiety, very difficult relationship with her mother, fueling a lot of anger, a lot of pain. She went through the Mastering Your Mind program, and in her willingness to really uncover her deep-seated shame that had been festering since her childhood, but because she was raised by a narcissistic mother, okay? The shame created a belief that she wasn't good enough. So despite all of her success, she still felt like deep down, she just wasn't okay. There was in some way something wrong with her. And so she spent her whole life waiting for the next shoe to drop, even though everything was going well. Right? So this old belief that she didn't even know she was dragging with her since the age of 5 caused her to carry around a constant undercurrent of anger, resentment, fear, making everything in her life hard. It impacted her relationship with her husband, with her daughter, right? So it's really eye-opening that something that happens to us, right? Long time ago, we can quickly and instinctively internalize it as shame. And that's the shame that leads to fear of the future, fear of the danger that's coming around the corner. And that's what has people avoid digging into their past because they don't want to feel that deeply embedded shame. So Brene Brown talks about this. She says that if you keep shame hidden and you avoid it, it grows like a cancer. And the willingness to lean into it, to look at it, to examine it, to get underneath it, to see it, that's like chemotherapy for cancer, right? It shrinks the shame. Okay. So I'm inviting you to step into this transformation, okay? To step into the journey of connecting the dots between the weight that you're carrying from your unprocessed past experience and the obstacles that you face in your life today, right? It's the very thing that's holding you back from everything that you desire, right? But the good news is, just as that weight was first created, it can be released. So that's what the Mastering Your Mind program is designed to do. It's about a structured way of investigating, of getting curious, of really deeply understanding where your beliefs came from, understanding the stories you've been telling yourself for so long, shining a light on them, transforming those beliefs, those old stories, breaking free from the automatic habits of thought and belief that have kept you stuck and kept holding you back, and reclaiming your true sense of not only self-worth, but of possibility. This program is the path to not just understanding, but truly freeing yourself from the patterns that have kept you stuck so you can finally step into the life that you're meant to live. And I want you to imagine engaging in this deep introspective work with a small, intimate group of like-minded women. Imagine that power of being in a community where you're seen and you're heard and you're celebrated for who you are, and recognizing that you're not alone. You're surrounded by other people who not only understand your journey, but who are living your journey. And so the ability to see yourself in other people, to learn from other people's insights that you might not have considered, and to have that open up something that you haven't seen before. That's the true power of the Mastering Your Mind program. It's not just about learning new concepts. It's about experiencing a profound shift in how you see yourself and how you see your life, and being a part of a community that lifts you up, holds you accountable, and celebrates your success. So I want to leave you with this thought. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to transform your beliefs. You have the power to unhook yourself from your inner critic self and to step into a future that's in alignment with your true self. And it is not always easy, but it is always worth it. So I want you to feel the liberation. I want you to feel the liberation that comes from shedding the weight of your past. Imagine the clarity, the freedom, the joy that comes from truly understanding and transforming your inner narrative. This work is powerful. It is life-changing, and it is waiting for you. So I invite you to take the next step, whether that's joining the Mastering Your Mind program or maybe just simply beginning to explore your inner world with curiosity and compassion. I want you to know that you're not alone and you have everything you need within you to create the life that you desire. So if you are curious about how this program could literally change every important part of your life, go to dethroningyourinnercritic.com, schedule some time to talk with me, and let's see if the program's right for you. Thanks for being here today, and I look forward to seeing where this journey takes you.